it's Chris with the Small Watch channel once again. Today we're going to look at a couple of Escapement Time watches out of China. I think they're going to be some fun ones to take a look at and well suited to wrist sizes such as ours. So let's go ahead and take a gander. Bing, bang, boom, go. Oh my gosh, y'all, I almost forgot. Wrist check. Oh, what kind of watch YouTuber would I be without that? Come on, y'all. All right, so here we go. What do I got going today? I do have a G-Shock Mini. This very garish, brightly colored Beams Boy branded one. It's a collab piece that I got somewhat recently. Special edition, limited edition. Yeah, it came out a couple years ago. Anyway, I get ahead of myself. This is definitely one I would like to take a look at eventually. The G-Shock Minis in particular are definitely a line that I think are worth taking a gander at. So we'll come back. Put a little bookmark there. Alright, today I'm super jazzed to bring you another double feature, this time with Escapement Time. I feel like I'm going to be saying the word time quite a bit this review. But yeah, so this one actually came on my radar not too long ago, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, something like that. So I found out about this through YouTube. The community really kind of turned me onto these pieces, to this maker, to this brand. And so I dug into it a little bit to see what they had, available. Now, at the time, most of the YouTube reviews are going over like a certain size. I believe they have a 40 millimeter watch that, really hit the scene with a splash, I think last year, about a year ago. Now, this particular piece was pretty snazzy. I'm not going to lie. I really like the look of it. As you'll see kind of as time goes by, I'm a huge Seiko fanboy. I really love the old school Seiko look, so it really spoke to me, this particular design. And the 40 millimeter version is actually very, very similar, almost exactly like us, just a slightly larger version of the one that you see on the right here on your screen with the cream white dial. But I did notice that they had a 35 millimeter option, and that one really caught my eye. And this is what you're seeing in front of you here today. Now, I got these two pieces on AliExpress. There is a store for Escapement Time on there where you have all of their different options. I should be showing you some screenshots of the store so you can see some of the different model options. They are coming out with some new ones here and there that I think are worth looking at, honestly. So I am keeping my eye on them for sure. I've heard that it's just a one-man operation out of China, and so that's pretty neat. I feel like it's pretty amazing that one person is turning these out. It does make a little bit of a sense because there have been some delays between stocking for these particular models. I know that I had to wait a couple of months actually before these 35 millimeter examples did show up in the shop. So why did I get these particular models? Well, a few different reasons, I'll say. First, to go back to my original comment, I am a big Seiko guy. And if it's not obvious, this is very much a Seiko-inspired piece. Particularly with the old, 60s, 70s, like King Seiko era, that kind of model design, definitely like a huge influence on these particular pieces. I like the simple, clean look. These are quartz pieces, but they also do have a unique movement, which is pretty interesting. They actually do have a VH31 Seiko movement. Now, the cool thing about that movement is it is a mecha quartz movement. It actually does beat 4 times a second, which is why you get this sort of pseudo smooth sweep that you might see on an automatic or a mechanical wind watch. So that is something that was pretty novel when I was looking at this. I'm sure that there are other pieces that you can get with this particular movement, but I hadn't seen many, and especially in this particularly small price range. I'm going to run down the features with you. These are 35 millimeter diameter. So they fit very, very well on the wrist. You'll be seeing some wrist shots throughout this particular review, so definitely take a look at those. On my small 6 1/4 inch wrist, just as a little bit of a reminder here on Small Watch. These are stainless steel. They do have a screw down crown, which is pretty neat, which does afford them a 50 meter water resistance. Not too shabby for a dress watch, especially. 9.5 millimeters thick. 18 millimeter lug width, which is something I also like. They're fairly standard lug width. If you are familiar with your Seikos, your classic Seikos especially, even your modern Seikos, honestly, your dress pieces, a lot of them do have a 19 millimeter lug width, which can be a little problematic and kind of shorten your options in terms of bands or straps or bracelets, what have you. Now, there are a variety of different options in terms of dial color. And so that's something I wanted to kind of point out here. I did choose deliberately a couple of different ones here. First, I'll kind of showcase the yellow. It's a yellow orangey color. If I'm kind of looking at it in real life, I have to say it's something kind of like a tangerine, a paler yellow, not really very fluorescent or very deep, a lack of red hue, I would say here with this particular piece. But an attractive dial color nonetheless. I've really been into yellow and orange a lot recently. If you follow me on my Instagram, you've probably seen me post many different orange pieces over the last little while. And of course, we did have the yellow special recently too. Let's see here. So this particular piece actually does have, pretty much all silver stainless steel, across the board for the indices, for the hands, those Dauphine hands, for that needle second hand. So, pretty much uniform across the board. A nice harmony to the piece, I would say. It looks pretty sweet to me. Looks pretty jazzy. Now, that does contrast pretty well with the one on the right here, which is actually unique among all the different color options for one particular reason, and that's the second hand. I'll try to get a nice close shot so you can see what I'm talking about here. But this cream white dial option does boast the stainless steel, case, the indices, those Dauphine hands. But the second hand is supposedly, and of course I don't know how I would go about testing this honestly, but if I'm going to take the manufacturer's word for it, these are heat-treated, blued second hands. So that is pretty cool. So if you're interested in that option, you would need to order either the larger size cream dial or this 35 millimeter cream white dial. That's the only one that does have this blued hand option. Pretty fetching. I'm a sucker for blued hands. If you saw my recent Seiko review, that is something I really liked about that tank style dress watch that we looked at there. Just to bring home my influence here, I did want to kind of show you one of these pieces stacked against the 37mm Grand Seiko that I have here. I'll put the model number on the screen so you can see it. But you can see the influence, like plain as day, I would say. I don't have, a classic 60s Seiko piece to compare it to. I don't have a King Seiko. But that Seiko design aesthetic has been fairly uniform for a long time. It really kind of marks them out in the marketplace, and you can see how that's borne out here with the Escapement Time pieces. Something else you're going to notice here too is the stark difference in the bands that I have. On the left hand side here with the yellow one, I did keep that on the stock band that it came with. It's just a simple leather band. Fairly thin, it gets the job done. I don't really like the color a whole lot, so I probably will switch it out, but I wanted to leave one of the originals on. The cream white piece that you see on the right hand side, I do have the original band for that as well, and the packaging that it came with. It was just a white leather band. Typically they're going to match the color of the dial when they send you a leather band with this piece. But for this particular one on the right, the cream, I did decide to go ahead and jazz it up with a Vario Harris Tweed pistachio strap that I like pretty well. Perhaps I'll do a dedicated review for those particular straps at some point, but I like them. Not necessarily the best summertime strap, I will say. So I don't find myself wearing this particular piece out and about so much, with the heat being what it is. But a fun one nonetheless, and one I look forward to wearing more in the fall and the winter for sure. For sure. So ultimately, do I recommend this piece or these pieces or Escapement Time generally? I say yes. If you're of a patient mindset, I think that you can really get some quality stuff here. I will say it took a while to get. I had to wait for these to restock, for example, and so you may have to do the same depending on when you are kind of looking them up and trying to follow through and getting your own piece. And also, it took a little while to get here overseas from China. I don't have the exact time frame that I got, but it did take a little while. But I'm a patient guy. I try to be, and I have plenty of other watches to enjoy, obviously, in the meantime. So I think it was worth the wait, especially for the price point. Currently, these are about $75, roughly, give or take, USD, which I think is an absolute steal when you think about some of the other things that you have going on here. You do have sapphire glass for one. So that's something to be thinking about. And of course, you just have a really smart watch in front of you, honestly. A spiffy piece to wear for dress occasions or just maybe even an everyday type watch, honestly. Especially if you chose maybe like a black dial or maybe the white dial there. I don't think it's overly dressy to where you like would feel a little awkward wearing it in a day-to-day life, but definitely dressy enough to wear on most occasions, I would imagine. Let's see here. If it didn't have the quartz there, you would probably also just confuse a lot of people honestly about the movement because of that sweeping hand. So I do hope you enjoyed this particular review. Thanks so much for watching again. I love these double features. It's so fun to stack like one watch against another, especially if we can think of them coming from the same brand here. I do enjoy these. I think these are especially good for someone with a smaller wrist size, just because you don't see this kind of watch that much anymore. Even Seiko, with that Grand Seiko, is slightly larger, honestly. And that Grand Seiko fits perfectly well. But if you want a smaller piece, you do have to hunt around a little bit, and these 35mm dress pieces are, really fitting the bill here as far as I'm concerned. So let me know what you think. Hit me up in the comments. Do you have an Escapement Time watch? Do they pique your interest? Are you going to go get one? Do you have a great alternative? I do see when I'm kind of trawling AliExpress sometimes that, since these became fairly popular, I do see a lot more homages to those, classic Seikos kind of cropping up from time to time. So who knows? Might have some competition in the future for this particular brand, but I would definitely recommend them for the time being. Thanks so much for watching. As always, I do appreciate you. I hope you have a rad day wherever you are out there. Take care.